So today I'm gonna give you 3 tips on how to reduce body fat fast. Because a lot of y'all love to focus on just weight, not realizing reducing the body fat is gonna help you do what? It's gonna help you tone the body the way that you want. Mainly for those that's trying to reduce the midsection, as well as try to get the overall body defined. Tip number 1, I don't know why you ain't know this, but you need to be adding some type of resistance training. When it comes down to reducing the body fat, one of the best ways to reduce body fat is by what? Developing more muscle. So the more muscle you develop, the easier it is for you to do what? Burn more calories at rest from doing absolutely nothing. The main reason why my body fat is as low as it is because I incorporate resistance training. A lot of us love to focus on abs and cardio thinking that it's going to reduce the body fat. Don't get me wrong, abs and cardio serves its purpose. But at the end of the day, we do need to be very mindful that if you just do a bunch of cardio and you're in a caloric deficit, you actually put yourself at risk of burning muscle, which we want to actually keep. For every 1 pound of lean muscle that you build, you put yourself in a position of burning calories per day at rest. Mind you, that's just 1 pound. So just imagine if you put on 5 pounds or 10 pounds, you'll be able to burn a lot more from doing absolutely nothing. Number 2 is going to be what? Rest and hydration is going to be extremely important when it comes down to being able to develop muscle. Once again, we want to develop a little bit more muscle so we can start cutting this additional fat from doing absolutely nothing. Do understand it's a lot easier for you to grow when you hydrate the body properly as well as recover properly. So I'm a huge fan of getting you to understand that you're gonna need that 7 to 8 hours of sleep, mainly if you're looking to drop the body fat. Don't just focus on just abs and cardio to get you where you wanna go. Do understand that you need to focus on resistance training. You need to make sure you're maximizing your sleep, and you need to make sure you're staying properly hydrated. You can't expect to develop and build muscle without the proper hydration. Another good thing about hydration, what some of us forget, hydration can be an appetite suppressor as well. The more water you drink, you'll notice that you're not going to be as hungry as you were. So do be mindful of that. Number 3 is going to be a balanced diet. You do need to make sure you're properly nourishing the body in order for you to develop more muscle. Remember, the whole point of us developing more muscle is to do what? Reduce body fat. And this is another reason why a lot of people kind of shy away from the resistance training and reducing the body fat, because it does take a little bit more time. Be mindful. You're only really going to drop about 1 to 2% each month, and that's generally healthy standings when it comes down to reducing body fat. A lot of people love to have these astronomical goals when it comes down to weight loss. You may not even notice that your weight fluctuates on a regular basis. You can notice this by weighing yourself in the morning from when you drink and you eat. What's going to happen? You're not going to weigh the same weight later that day based upon what you consume. But do understand, with the balanced diet, you need to make sure you're staying away from processed foods, sugary foods, as well as things that have a lot of sodium in. That's why I keep telling y'all, stay away from the freezer aisle, because at the end of the day, the things are already there, but you got to be mindful that in order to preserve the food in the freezer aisle, we do need to load it with a lot of sodium. That's what's going to help preserve the food. But it's more about balance. I've been carrying under single digits year in, year out. I am going to tell you one thing, is that I'm just not eating little to nothing all the time. I'm not loading up on a bunch of salads all the time. What I'm doing is I'm balancing my nutritional intake and maximizing it relevant to what? My outtake. So outtake is going to be activities and things of that nature. That's another reason why I keep telling you, get your steps in, add your resistance training, but don't just focus on abs and cardio if you're somebody that's really trying to reduce body fat. And I always say you actually should focus on reducing the body fat more so than weight. Look at weight more so as a maintenance number. So you want to be relative to, this is your bottom number and this is your top number. So a good example for me, I'm generally not trying to go over 173 pounds. It's just me. And I'm not trying to go under 155. So I generally average around, I would say 165 to like 158 is my average, depending on activity levels throughout the year, as well as what seasons can actually dictate how much you're going to intake. If you haven't noticed, Generally, fall or winter, what you're gonna do? You're gonna eat a little bit more. Spring and summer, you're not gonna eat as much. You're generally gonna cut back on your eating, and you're gonna be a lot more active when it comes down to the weather conditions. Mainly if you're somebody that's living in a DMV like myself. So do be mindful of those things. And then also make sure you're scheduling your training system accordingly. So a great example for me is me understanding that fall or winter, I'm gonna eat a little bit more. I like to use that opportunity to be able to build and gain as much weight as possible. Gaining weight can be a good thing if the body fat percentage at the end of the day is going down. So some of us kind of miss this. You can actually see the numbers go up in the scale, but if you're not checking body fat, depending on how much muscle you build, you can actually see the body fat percentage actually go down. So that's why I say don't just use the scale as a metric to see if you're moving in the right direction. Check weight, check body fat percentage, as well as body mass index. Body mass index is actually going to be a better indicator if you should lose weight or gain weight, because at the end of the day, an indicator of how much stress that you're putting on ligaments, tendons, joints, and so on and so forth. So do understand, when you're carrying a lot of weight, that's why a lot of y'all are experiencing lower back pains, knee pains, because of the excessive amount of weight.